I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff. The motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
The wheel gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from?
Here
comes Zwack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it at Auto Club.
After the elimination event of just 4 races, the final field is locked in for the top 22 drivers. Combined with the team putting it all together behind the scenes, the first official event of the 8-race season is ready to be underway. Presented by Thrustmaster, Butt Kicker, and Carpe Diem Creations from the virtual Auto Club Speedway, it's Vrx World Cup. Welcome into V-Speed. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, and joined along me tonight is iRacing and esports commentator Justin Prince.
Yes, indeed, that's right. The stage has been set for over $2,000 in prizes. The biggest of those scores being the Thrustmaster SF1000 Ferrari Direct Drive Bundle, going to the overall points champion at the end of this 8-race season. With names like William Britton, PJ Cox, Jeffrey Clifton, and Michael Halverson getting wins during the elimination events, will a new name find its way to victory lane? Or will the previous winner's confidence carry over from a long 2-week break into the regular season? Let's find out tonight here from Fontana, California. And as mentioned, 22 drivers qualified their way in this season in 2 respective groups. and the competition is extremely fierce in turn, Bradley.
Yeah, you've got guys that had 2-3 wins even in Group B, and Jeffrey Clifton just phenomenal. PJ Cox, William Britton, the names you mentioned earlier, all the way down to Jeff Scott, Logan Water, and this is the exact list up here on your screen in no particular order, just separated on Group A and Group B. But they're combined with 13 drivers that were grandfathered in for the admin role in the Discord. And speaking of admin role, before we get to our track facts, we're running a little short here on time, so we're gonna pull up, as known as Mama Teresa Spiker, up here in the Discord. Do you got a copy?
I do, Bradley. Thank you.
So, Teresa, you put a lot of work in behind the scenes. It was a group effort overall, but a lot of people have been here from the start. Tell us a little bit about how you got the World Cup going here and what these people involved went through to get this going for us.
Okay, Bradley, we sent out 1,000 emails and private messages and the final invitation, and everybody registered, and we ran the 4 qualifiers for the field to be filled with 38 drivers.
And we know those qualifiers had very high attendance. We had almost people kicking down the door trying to get in. And coincidentally, I would say, iRacing changing their legacy website kind of put a damper on some of that. But I know that you guys still had high attendance for your qualifiers, and a lot of work went into this. Is the names. That's the other important thing. The people that were out there. You've got a list of them, don't you?
I do. I want to thank Robert Stanners and all the employees at VRX for their support, and Brian Hennings for countless hours of his support and help, and my husband Greg, and all the other admins and moderators. Kai and Connor for doing race control. Of course, you, Bradley, with V Speed for broadcasting. Thrustmaster for their sponsorship, and Butt Kicker, Carpe Diem, and Honda. I'd also like to thank all the viewers. I know my mother-in-law, Joanne Spiker, and my Nana, Rose Matchett, are watching, so I'd like to thank them and my children. Thank you for putting this on and supporting us.
We appreciate your time, Mama, and VRX Simulators and its sponsors would also like to thank all the incredible volunteers that have built this amazing VRX World community. The 2024 World Cup event would not be possible without these dedicated volunteers, and they've spent countless hours promoting, planning, implementing this awesome tournament. So from all of us at VRX and our sponsors, thank you. And Mama will try to get you back where you were. I don't know exactly where that was, but we appreciate your time, Mama.
Thank you.
So there it is, and it was Teresa Spiker, one of the league admins, probably the lead role here. But let's bring up those track facts while we have a chance. And the race analysis up on your screen right now. We will have a race length of 125 laps here tonight for 250 miles. The pit road speed, 55 miles per hour. Very tough pit road to get on and off of. And the tire sets available, we have 3. So a lot of mileage with limited tire set. 80% fuel, 2 green-white checkered attempts, and 1 fast repair here tonight. It's a fixed iRacing setup here in Fontana, and nobody knows this place better than you, Justin Prince.
Yes, indeed. Multi-groove racing, a well-known fact when it comes to Auto Club Speedway, now known as Next Gen California, with its conversion to a short track currently in progress. With this racetrack, though, there's the chance of drivers using the top and the bottom, especially in turns 1 and 2 as the night progresses. Keep that in mind as the race moves on, and how many drivers are able to shift around the 14 degrees of banking to 2 miles here today. In turn, though, there's a lot of action to come. But it's time for the Carpe Diem Pole Award, presented to the fastest driver in qualifying for each event, with prizes donated for this season, including custom glassware and keychains. We'd like to thank Carpe Diem for its support this season, presenting the drivers a variety of personalized items for the Vrx World Cup. If it's a moment with a loved one or a memory captured throughout life, find the perfect custom item to match it from Carpe Diem Creations. On the pole tonight, it's Dustin Buck. He put in a heater in the 41-3s tonight, and in turn, will start the first race of the season in control. In turn, the rest of the field getting sorted out for tonight. Let's take a look 10 by 10 at how they start. Christopher Hodges starts on the outside of the front row. Jeff Scott, Richard Hurst in the second row. For tonight's festivities, Wade Palmer, Kevin Kelly in the top 6. Next row, Bill Daniels, Paul McDonald. And rounding out your top 10 tonight here, Bradley. Real quickly is Ryan Hennings and John Hudson.
11th spot goes to Logan Rhodes with Stephen Aguirre in 12th. 13th will be Joseph Fagioni. William Britton's going to start 14th. 15th spot, James Wagoneer, Logan Water in 16th. 17th, Luke Rakowski, Greg Pillar, and then our top 20, Todd Mason, Michael Howerton.
Rest of the starters scroll on screen here, Bradley, real quickly. Tonight, expecting to be intense. It's the start of a new season. 35 strong entered the field. Who gets the first win? The green flag is out. The new season for the Vrx World Cup is underway from California. Straight away, it's Christopher Hodges who leads the first lap of the new season. Hurst already to second. Dustin Buck getting shuffled back early.
Yeah, he's falling back to fourth already. Stuck down there on that bottom. It seems like the high line a little bit quicker on the exits. And that's like you said, multi-groove, that progressive banking kind of up there on the outside. You get that cushion on the wall, and it allows that car to drive off so much faster. Hodges used that to his advantage on the restart, starting on the outside, and he's already taken point.
Turn already making it clear that he prefers the top of the racetrack. Now, as this night progresses too, tire wear going to be a major factor here tonight. Also, keep in mind, 80% the fuel limit, so not the full fuel range of about 40 laps. Expect a lot more pit stops than you normally would see for the Gen 6 cars, where it'd be a two-stopper if we were to go green under normal conditions.
Limited tire set's also going to be that factor. So 3 tire sets, you got to pick and choose. If there's a caution here early, I look for a lot of drivers to stay out. Situationally, you want to try to save as much as you can. You see 3-4 wide back here around the 8th to 10th position. Some of these guys singling it back out, but 3 wide behind him. That's James Wagoner in the middle in the 30. He has Steve Aguirre and it's like John Hudson on the outside in the 3 car. They're still going to be 3 wide out of 4.
And keep an eye on that 8 car tonight, because he's someone I've known over the years on the iRacing platform personally, Bradley. And trouble in front of him! Oh my goodness, it's some of the leaders. Dustin Buck and several more crash. It's from 4th on back when we're all running under yellow. Wow.
Machine of Jeff Scott was pinned up against the wall. Looked like 7 different cars involved in that, and that happened right up in the top 5.
Yeah, gonna need to take a look potentially here in this one. Let's take a look at the V-Speed Insta replay.
Back it up deep here. We're gonna talk about the 3 wide for a second. I thought they had settled down up front.
Yeah, I don't think the 3 wide had anything to do with it. Watch the run down the front stretch and keep an eye on Buck. He is one of those Chevys on the inside. Yeah.
00 came up, it looks like. Just didn't know that he wasn't clear and came up to the outside car and started all of that.
Well, one of the things that the 00 said on the radio before tonight, found intriguing, was he expected to be at the back eventually. He felt he was a 1-lap heater driver, and, well, He's no longer there.
Yeah, this all happens in front of the 7 car, 33, the 38. It's like the 818 also involved in that.
And a lot of drivers with mandatory repairs. Hudson, Ricky Evans, Paul McConnell, McDonald, we should say. There's a fast repair available if needed, but way earlier than some of these drivers may have expected here. Still with the race lead is Hodges with her first caution flag already here. It's been a good race already with the Multigroove Racing, but now it's the matter of seeing how drivers will play this out now with the potential to vary the strategy, at least on the gas.
And I just want to apologize to Teresa Spiker because she had to start from the pit here tonight. We might have stretched it a little bit long to get her back into the session, so I do want to apologize. She'll be back in 34th. She had, I want to say, a 24th, 25th qualifying effort here tonight.
I think she just spun on the racetrack, Bradley.
Something going on with her wheel? Maybe she's having some issues?
She passed the pit road, and I think she downshifted, potentially while trying to gather things up. She is amongst those electing to stay out here.
That's unfortunate. We probably have her all out of sorts here, and so again, apologies to Teresa. Mama T, as she's known, has been around iRacing now for over a year and put a lot of practice in, so we probably got her wheel settings or something's tabbed out, probably broke it. So if that's the case, sorry about that. But I think she'll get it sorted out. She has plenty of helpers in here at VRX and the World Cup. Christopher Hodges takes over the lead, though, very early in this race, and he's led every single lap that we've completed, and he'll come by for lap number 6 to get that 6th one led. Richard Hurst, Kevin Mulcahy, Wade Palmer, and Joseph Aggioni, the top 5. And for 250 miles here, Justin, you got to think some of these guys looking a little aggressive early. We see more of the same. I know that there's prizes on the line. We listed some of those off, talked about all the things that are available to win here. But it's race 1.
Keep in mind, though, this is also a track that's very hard to pass at. So keep that in mind as well. If you have a restart, you got to take advantage, you have to think, because it's a track that tends to be one where it takes a few laps to set up a pass.
Yeah, it's very momentum based, and once you get into that draft run, it's very difficult to escape people, and it's very difficult to get a run on the guy into the corner and complete the pass. You can get to his inside on the entrance or the outside on the entrance, but actually completing it is a completely different ballgame. And we'll see a lot of that tonight where guys will go 3-4 wide because they have such a tremendous run out of the corner with the draft. Hopefully there's enough room here at Fontana that we can keep it clean and green. 3 wide is not a problem as long as you're aware of it.
They've extended the caution flag period here, by the way, as half the field is still trying to gather itself up to the pacing queue, including Don Milkowitz, Ricky Evans, and John Hudson. Was going to touch upon one of the drivers I think may be a contender here tonight. Steven Aguilar, amongst those who has experience in VRX and has experience owning teams such as Gen X over the years, for example. Recently left that ownership grouping, but he's also a notable name because he's, for many years, been in the Grand National / Xfinity car building scene and is one of its most well-respected drivers. Currently, he's already up 5 in his Cup car here tonight.
Yeah, Steven has been really formidable, and we talked a little bit about some of the people that maybe have a little bit higher I rating than others. He's kind of the top of the field here in the threshold. And, this variety with the iRacing cap, they want to keep it as fair as possible. But competitively, these drivers are all going for the same prizes, right? So to maintain that level of competitiveness, you've got a lot of people in here that really dialed up. They practiced hard. Steven, no exception to that. You're seeing right now, Christopher Hodges seems to have put his due diligence in this week. That's the name for me right now. We saw him in the qualifiers. He didn't quite get the finishes he wanted, but he was up in the top 3 for a lot of it. I look to see the 34 car having a top 5 day at the least here.
We've seen that twice in the qualifying series, by the way. He finished runner-up in 2 of the 4 races enter. And in turn, using control for the restart, he elected to choose the outside line. Horst electing in turn to be on the inside with that. Just about all set to get back underway, coming to lap 9 this time around. Again, quite happy with us for this season's coverage for the Vrx World Cup. Into the restart zone, the green flag's back out. Hodges is off and away. Done through the gears this time. Already some blocking from Vip on back as they try and get sorted out.
Maybe a little tire spin. I know these tires weren't completely heated up, but like these guys had maybe got enough heat in those rear tires. There's Brian Hennings, and that was the 818 I was mentioning earlier. He's actually labeled as a 74 in iRacing scoring. He got turned around, but somehow he's back up here in the top 5, so able to get his position back, thankfully. But caught up in that early wreck, you can see a little bit of damage on that nose. Now he's 3 wide up to the back of Richard Hurst. He finds a hole. He's going to maintain this run into 1 and 2.
And caution. We're back under yellow. And it's another big crash already called under review. Benjamin Richards and several more involved. Teresa Spiker also in it. And a couple others coming out of the grass. And quickly, 2 cautions in 10 laps. It continues, unfortunately, it looks like in the back.
So Teresa there 3 wide on the bottom. Let's back that up a little bit with the blimp camera and you'll get a better angle of it. But it looks like maybe she had a car in the middle that was a little bit lower than she expected it to be. Going for the same piece of real estate, comes up into the door, and that was all she wrote for the 70.
In turn, it collects at least 5 cars. She's got the EOL penalty for the cause. And a massive stack up of cars, too, like Legos up on the top of the wall, too.
And that was Logan Rhodes again getting a piece of that. He got caught up in the earlier caution where he was an innocent bystander. And then again, here on this instance, to go on board with the number 7. Happens right in front of him, but he's up near the wall, nowhere to go.
Pow! Car right in. Yeah, right in your cockpit.
Yeah. And that's the tough part about these old Gen 6 Cup cars is they had very tall spoilers, and that flap where the clear acrylic would connect to that kind of blocks the back windscreen. And so it's very difficult to see through these cars and have any idea. Without the smoke, you really don't even know what's happening in front of you. You just know that you're going to follow that person in front. You don't want to. It's kind of like following a tractor trailer too closely at that point. And so your exit's coming up, and you don't know if that exit's backed up or not. You could pull out from behind that truck and rear end somebody anyway. So you kind of just got to stick with whoever's in front of you and go with that.
Once those already coming down to get repairs done in this caution period. Several more elected to come down to top off, like John Hudson. So the strategy game continues as a result of some of these early caution flags. Hudson indeed just takes fuel. Only a couple are elected to take at least 2 tires here. And that could be an interesting call if you're using tires this early, because it's still going to be intriguing how the fuel numbers will break down. But that could be a big play by the end of said run if you are about a half a second quicker a lap based on the fact you're on fresher tires.
Yeah, it could make a big difference. I think right now, this early, we've had maybe combined 6 laps under green, so it might be more of an even threshold. But later on in the run, if we can get some green flag laps, you'll start to see these guys up front succumb to the guys in the back that did take tires. And they also have to strategize, though, based off of that, because now you only have 2.5 sets in the pits. If we get cautions where these drivers have stayed out, you can't pass them under yellow. And so they could kind of pick and choose any time to use their tire advantage because they stayed out during this caution. You're going to have to factor that in if you're a driver from 20th on back you might pin yourself there on the strategy call.
Want to go yet again. Hodges choosing the top this time. This time it's Wade Palmer who will start alongside. And touched upon the qualifying series. As Palmer gets sorted out, he was amongst those in Group B this season. To be able to move on and be able to compete in this series was one of the drivers in the mid-pack in the point standings. Now without showcasing a fair amount of speed, he's now surrounded by plenty of those looking to keep the pressure up. In particular, William Brennan comes to mind, one of the top drivers from Group A, who's up to 6th.
Yeah, William Brennan, we mentioned that name quite a few times, and he had a phenomenal job there, did a phenomenal job there in Group A. A lot of the names that you found at the top of that list in the Group A, Group B, well, they're up here at the top of the list here at Fontana, and I look to see a couple more of those top qualifiers work their way up here as we go green. 34 Hodges, he's electing to start on the outside again, like you said. I think that's a wise move. He's getting such a good restart every time he does that. He's able to hit the loud pedal and pull half a second into one.
So now, how does he play the restart? That's a huge question. So, the OL for the 70 is apparently for the passing under yellow, not for the cause of caution. Race control is just clarified. Regardless, up front, we're back underway. Christopher Hodges, another great launch. Side by side for third on back again.
43 car jumps up in front of Brian Hennings as they go into one. We're peaking 3 wide there again with the 64. William Britton looking inside of Hennings. And as we come off of turn 2, lots of 3 wide behind him from the 13th on back.
And already a lot of shuffling with some of those drivers. Now the bottom is playing out in the heart of the pack. That's Kuski getting zipped around by Jared Epker. In turn, a lot of drivers trying to play it careful here. Others trying to press the go button.
Yeah, you see the 23 of Sierra Clampert. She went all the way to the bottom of the racetrack and picked up 4 positions, up to 20th now, and still on the move, on the hunt. Inside of the 033 of Rukowski now. Gonna dive it down, excuse me, into 1 here, and looks like a good drive off. She's gonna pick up another one.
And that's part of the play, right? You have to be able to slowly but surely make up passes here without losing the main draft. You mentioned the big spoilers. This is the high downforce package with the Gen 6 car, keep in mind. So you're talking about having to still burn the throttle, but it's near full throttle, like the Super Speedway for draft.
Yeah, this car very down on horsepower with this package, so the downforce does help it steer, but Fontana already momentum based. Now you got a lack of power. 3 wide for second position. You're going to see all these different lines because that's what guys are hunting for right now. They're trying to find that spot where the tires don't scrub and that back spoiler isn't holding them back.
Hodges, in turn, is playing the draft game already. There's a look at Britton, who's already up to 4th spot. He's looking to run the bottom to get up to 3rd. He's amongst those trying to paint the white line as much as possible. Not as well this time to be able to paint it.
Paul's back up in line. I think the bottom's probably not where you want to be right now, all the way down on the white line. You get a good run in, but that exit speed's just not there. He's going to dive it down again. 1 and 2 a little bit more forgiving, but 3 and 4 definitely not the place you want to be. Trying to make a pass here on Richard Hurst for the 3rd spot. Wade Palmer peeked to the inside for the lead there for just a moment. This top 5 still right on top of each other, and they will be until we hit green flag pit stops. That's been the only way you can separate yourself here, Justin.
Very important, mind you, to get clear if you want to make the pass. That outside line is absolutely pivotal up top. Nearly some trouble from the top. Hurst making contact with Britton, nearly turned Palmer.
Came down across the nose. They're going to go 3 wide into 1 and 2 again. And that was just a product of too low there for the 64. He tags the apron, now has the 8 of Aguirre into the inside. This is the pass now for the 4th spot.
Aguilar, no play. Yes, indeed. Aguilar having to back out of it.
Oh, he just said it. He didn't care. He said, I'm going to make this turn. All the way up on the outside there is the 818 of Mulcahy. He's going to hold it up next to the wall. Not quite clear for Aguirre. He's trying to get by Britton, who's lost a couple spots after that tag with the apron, trying to get the momentum back up. And the 34 of Hodges, he's maintained in the lead very well.
Yeah, the more they fight like this, the more this helps Hodges, you'd have to think. No dirty air to deal with. And they're nearly crashing up for second. Palmer nearly doored Hurst.
Scrubbed the speed off there on the exit of 2. Ran it all the way up to the door of the 21 to try to get that thing back under. He had to lift out of the throttle. And now he's created a 3-wide situation behind him again with the 64 in the middle.
Britton trying to find a hole. Casey Ellis trying to find a way to charge ahead.
Oh,
and
the
now
43's
Ellis is
around.
in it. Caution flag is out. Ellis involved. Wade Palmer spun around. Caution already under review from race control.
They started to go 4 wide there as they exited turn 4, and I kind of saw it going to happen because the 43 was very turbulent. Oh, and another car coming as he gets it back straight, but yeah, we'll back that up. I think we got a good view of it before the replay. We could kind of see that happening already, right?
Yes, indeed. And here's another swing and a look towards the 3 wide. This is a trouble spot. This is the commonality of danger. Turn 4 exit.
There's the 4 wide starting, and it doesn't last very long. The 43 feeling the pinch. He had plenty of room on the inside. Aguirre actually very courteous, went down to the apron, but it's kind of hard to judge that. You just hear inside and out. That spotter talking in over gear, and you run out of real estate. That right
And
there, man.
wow.
That's the moment, huh?
That was something. I think that was Ricky Evans who nearly
Yes, it
got a
was.
surprise.
Yep. Sometimes you're so eager and you think the whole field has passed you, and that one car that maybe came down pit road late or had a bad restart, bringing up the back of the field just finds you. Got to be careful with that.
So, back under caution. Coming up towards 100 to go. So far, 3 yellows, no changes up front. Hodges has looked very comfortable up the front. He's been, well, as the car says, loving the race lead.
Yeah, he's really controlled the tempo so far. He's manipulated the draft well. He's doing what he needs to do. Some drivers just have that natural ability to know what line's getting what run, when, how to come out of the corner and prevent it from getting back to your bumper. It's very rare that you see a driver at Auto Club pull out to 3/4 of a second and stay there. So kind of on another level right now for the 34. But you have to imagine Richard Hurst, Brian Hennings, Kevin Mulcahy, they're probably starting to size up this 34 and find where they can press and make it hurt.
That's been a very difficult spot here today. Already, we have a lot of double-digit movers. Interesting enough, Casey Ellis, who was in the heart of that last incident, somehow seems to have avoided significant damage to the 35 and is staying out as the biggest mover, second biggest in fact, up 18. Who the biggest is? BJ Cox, the champion of Group A for the qualifying series.
So initially put that graphic up on your screen right now. The butt kicker biggest mover of the race right now, 22 laps in, plus 20 positions. It's an excellent job and laying out, taking advantage of the track position. That could play a key role in your finishing later on in this race because you might not get caught up in something that happens deeper in the field. And you're not having to use your tires quite as much because those guys that are taking 2 or taking 4 early in this race, they're a little bit further behind you now.
Field getting all bunched up and getting set to go here. Again, your top 10, Hodges, Hurst, followed in line by Mulcahy. Then it's Vecchione, Ellis, Mays, Hennings in the mix of that too. Greg Pillar, Wagoner, and Cox amongst your top 10. And here's where the strategy started to come into play. 7th, 9th, 11th, and then most others behind that are a part of those who have already come down for at least a splash of fuel.
Yeah, Todd Mace, James Wagner, 5.2, 5.5 in the box, so they definitely took fuel at the least. And then you have what looks to be 4 tires with Bill Daniels there. So interesting to see just outside the top 10 if these guys can start to get green, what those tires can do. 34 of Hodges on the outside again, and another great jump hopefully here for him in the Geico restart zone. There he goes, and not quite as good as last time, but good enough here into one.
But a tire spin from the second row as well. Hurst in turn able to jump up to second. Already 2 and 3 wide starting to form up in the heart of the pack. Those on some of the freshies want to go, including Greg Spiker. He wants to charge for the bottom. He follows PJ Cox down there.
The 90 of Spiker, actually 65 of Spiker, gets by Pillar, right up on the bumper now, diving it to the bottom. Making it 3 wide down the 05 of Cox. Remember, the fresher tires start with Logan Watering and looks like the 15, Bill Daniels, the 28, falling back here. Kind of interesting that those tires haven't helped him get a run here.
And take a few laps, mind you, for it to really come into play. Remember, you've seen that real-world action back around 2020, specifically when racing came to the circuit last with the Gen 6 car. But also, the Coke Series race played out in a similar manner, where you had a lot of comers and goers because of the coming and going of tire strategies. Speaking of coming, you know who's closing? Hurst, closing up the gap. It's down to a car length or two. To the bottom, Hennings wanting third. Gets it.
Hennings gets that pass. Hurst actually couldn't go down there and keep the draft with Hodges. So Hodges did it again. He played it well, but he's not higher up on the line than anybody else right now, and I think that's part of why he's able to dictate these exits.
And already, bump drafting coming into play here. How effective will that be here on this 2-mile circuit?
Oh, it's absolutely effective down that back stretch, especially in these cars with that big spoiler. If you can punch that air off the back of the guy in front of you and get him a good mile per hour or two faster into the entrance, it can mess up his entrance into the corner and give you a good run on the exit.
Side by side for second. Just electing to run just a lane below the top for air. And ascend again. Mays getting a squish. Send underneath Mulcahy. Apologies over the radio and some of the battling as Casey Ellis drives by them all.
Well played there. Casey Ellis picked up 3 spots while those guys were 3 wide. They didn't get the run off the corner that they wanted. The 35 car took full advantage of that.
In turn, the train working. Yeah, this is almost like a need to fan out, almost like a super speedway. Break the train like a snake. Actually, more so like an IndyCar.
Seems like staying in the wake of some drivers is not helping the entrances to these corners. So even if you do get that run, you're just carrying so much speed. This car probably has a threshold where the corner just won't apex. So you have to back your corners way up. So we're going to go on board here with the 10. Fagione, and you can see that dirty air. You can see the wash there. He's having to put a lot more wheel into it to keep it down off the throttle, off the exit here. And then look what happens. Those cars in front of him start to pull away.
Remember, a lot of the talk from the big NASCAR teams around 2021 especially was the dirty air made it so difficult when they made the package change too. You're talking 10% difference on tires just because you're in the dirty air compared to
I can believe that. Yeah, and those guys would know better than anybody else. They're constantly testing and practicing, trying to figure out what they can do to have the competitive edge. 54 of Mace all the way to the bottom again. Trying to pass for third, but a pass for the lead here. Brian Hennings peeks to the lead, and he gets some contact from Mace. He gets into the outside on Hurst. We're going to stay green, but it creates 4 wide behind him.
way too hard. I'm ascend in trouble. Palmer hard into the wall. Wade Palmer across the track. Caution flag is out. And he was the quickest car on the track before that. Wow.
Completely lost the suspension on that car. That's probably going to do it for the 43. He's going to have to tow back to pit road. No way he's going to drive that thing back around here. What an impact with that inside wall. If he had just spun another 100 feet, he would have missed it.
Here's the instant replay. He was on fresh tires after the last caution. It was looking great until here.
Ow. And Sierra Clamper gets a piece of that as well. Let's go on board with her. This is Twitch streamer. And I'm going to probably not remember the Twitch handle. I apologize for that. But Sierra Clamper live on Twitch right now if you'd like to go check that out. Look at this impact. Lucky it didn't upset the car and throw. I mean, it did damage, but I don't think it did what it could have. The 43 just kind of airborne there. Thankfully, iRacing kind of forgiving on that aspect.
That could have been much worse. Again, it was Wagoner on the contact. And yeah, don't even think of damage from that incident. But here is where it gets rougher. A lot of drivers trying to check up hard, getting into contact, and in turn. We're under yellow at lap 30. So now do the leaders duck in? No. Actually, part yes. Hennings comes in this time.
Hennings probably starting to feel the effects of that dirty air. He's been stuck in it since the beginning of this race, so I can't blame the 74 for coming down, but he didn't get followed by very many people. So maybe a change of strategy here for Hennings and a few others. The 10 coming down as well. Spagioni. It's like Wagoner in as well. We had it's like about 16 cars that decided to come down. Maybe I'm overestimating that number a little bit here, maybe 14. It's tough to judge here because, you know, you got guys up front that have been dictating the rhythm of this race so far, with Hurst and Hodges kind of being up front the whole time. Kevin Mulcahy up in the top 5. Casey Ellis has worked up a few more positions, so up 20 for the 35. But really, the top 3 have stayed about the same.
Again, we continue to pace here on the circuit. Hodges, Hurst, Mulcahy, Ellis. Munso's yet to pit. Pillar, along with Cox, yet to come in, as well as Koski. Everybody else is coming at least once. You know who's quietly gone all the way to the field here and just said on the radio they're surprised they're up here? Logan Waterburn, 16th to 7th in the Honda car.
We'd like to shout out Logan Waterburn as well. They're going to have a Sportsman Award and give out a couple prizes there from Honda. So that's another announcement that we had quite a few things that we got put on our plate here at the last minute. So that was something I needed to add to the list. And so we got a great segue there, Justin, to allow me that opportunity to let everybody know. So Logan Waterburn also involved in a lot of key sponsors here at VRX, and the big prizes that we talked about, the Ferrari SF1000 bundle, that direct drive wheel, an amazing wheel, a premier product from Thrustmaster. And then you have the T248 pedal and wheel that they're giving away to second place, third place with the Butt Kicker Gamer Pro. Then we have the Butt Kicker Gamer Plus, and then an add-on shifter from Thrustmaster as well to the top 5. We have over $2,000 of prizes. Carpe Diem Creations also giving out some custom beer mugs, shot glasses, and keychains to the remaining points finishers. A great thing going here for VRX.
Again, like to thank all those for supporting Vrx World Cup this season. A lot of excitement and a lot of hard work in turn being put in for this one and for this series in turn. Christopher Hodges is still the leader. Just about all set to go with Richard Hurst starting second. Casey Ellis, your top 4. And as the radio is just lit up with people meowing,
Oh boy.
it's time to get back
I know what that
underway.
means. I know what
Green.
that means. Green flag is out, and Mama Teresa has done something if they're meowing.
Meowing and chirping like chickens. We'll see how this run goes, shall we?
The psychological aspect of racing a car. You don't have that in the actual Cup cars because you're on a silent communication with your crew chief directly, and that's all you hear. But here on the iRacing service, you have the ability to free chat with everyone in the room. Sometimes drivers will use that to maybe calm the mood or play some head games.
2 and 3 wide as the battle is on yet again for about second on back. This is going to be more and more difficult, though, if you're the 34 to hold on, because here come the freshies. Logan Rhodes leads the group now and is already up to 4th.
Watching that 3 wide still going on back there. The 64 of William Britton trying to get back up here into this top 5 where he was a moment ago. Almost some contact there on the outside. That was a one of water, and he pulls up in front of, I believe, Jeff Scott there in the 38. Remember, Scott got caught up in that early race incident. He's kind of nursed this track here, this car back to health, and got it back into the top 10, but he cannot afford, with the only one fast repair here tonight, and using it very early, you have to be careful now.
And he's not afraid to go 3 wide on the outside a little bit. Offset 4 nearly. 3 wide as Daniels taking top side. Ellis tries to wrap the bottom. Keep an eye on William Britton. He took tires a couple cautions ago. Now he's 3 wide, painting the line despite the slide. As there goes the 7. A slide to the inside and hard into the wall.
That's gonna do it. Breaks the left front control arm, and that car is not gonna steer. That's the 3rd incident the 7 car's been caught up in. And no yellow flag off the racing surface. These drivers staying green. That started on the backstretch, I believe, right at the exit of 2. I want to say we can afford to take a quick replay, but look at these guys doing it again. They didn't learn. They're going to do it into 1 and 2 one more time.
Brennan is the one leading the charge at the bottom. Keep it on the 64. He's going for the lead. 3 and 4 wide in the heart of the pack. There's Brennan trying to get the second, and he's the fastest on the track. Big slope for Hodges. Is there a send this time from Hurst? No, but there is one from Brennan.
All the way down to the bottom, has to be careful touching that apron, but uses it to rotate the car, and excellently done with the little slide job there. He's going to have enough momentum. He's going to take over the lead for the first change up front. William Britton. Crossover, though, for the 34. Hodges says, okay, you got your lap led. I want it back.
Gets it done pretty efficiently as he parks the bus. A big break given from Britton there. And as he tries to gather it back up and regroup, keep in mind the draft speed up to 3 to 5 miles an hour quicker in the pack tonight. And there goes Britton. He paints it up top side, takes it away easily.
Speaking of Britton, I don't have the telemetry for miles per hour. Actually, I have mine in the metric system, kilometers, that they're at 305 as they come into turn 1. So I don't know what the conversion for that would be, but yeah, 298 there that time by down the backstretch. She'll hit over 300.
Intern Britton looking to set sail. Keep in mind, just about everybody else who's on fresh tires is not having an easy time like the 46, or rather the 64 is. You know, the only one who's in the top 10 who pit is James Wagoner. He's on the bottom of this grouping, and he just passed 4 cars in 1 corner.
Nicely done there by Wagoner, and sometimes it makes you feel like Hercules when you have those 4 fresh tires. He's going to have to realize, though, he's going to get humbled real quick when these guys come down pit road. So pick up as many as you can. Pray there's not a caution, and get up front here. Looking for second place already to the bottom again. He gets by Hodges, and up to second now for the 30. All within a lap.
Nicely done, and keep in mind, Wagoner has fresher tires compared to Britton. chance this machine goes from the back to the front. Being involved in some of the trouble earlier. The gap already down to 0.8 of a second and closing. So as the rest of the pack runs through, it's still 3 wide in the heart of the field. Jeff Scott is amongst those who's trying to back up. Here is some contact to send to the inside for the 11.
Epker just letting him know he's there, but he gets really loose down there, and you got to look out for that. You can use that to rotate the car, but if you're on older tires, it starts to wear a little thin, and that line gets really fine. You see these guys starting to settle down a little bit, though. The high line, the low line, nobody really trying to punch that middle. I don't think the run's quite there anymore, so maybe we're going to get some long green flag run in here. You know Fontana can turn into a fuel mileage race, and that's what it's shaping up to be.
Especially with the big differences in the fuel mileage. We're talking differences right now up to 30 laps, depending on where you are in the field. And for those curious, the top line seems to be those who are on the older tires. The bottom line seems to be those who took their tires the past caution or two. And a lot of those drivers, they're trying to hold on to the set, obviously, for the later stages. That's the biggest difficulty, is for a lot of these drivers who took the set late in the race, it could be a trouble spot if they don't have a set, and everybody else who kept the set on the tires and just topped off has it a set in hand in the pits. Let's say 20 to go.
Yeah, they've got to factor that in, and this race kind of caution plagued here at the start. Now we're starting to set up for green flag, and you see the perfect example of what you said with the fresh tires on the lower line. The 10 right here riding Fagioni, he's picked up a couple spots because of that. He's actually ducking and weaving middle, low. He doesn't care. He just feels so good going into these corners that he's going to continue to run up here, probably be in the top 3 before long.
By the way, for those curious, yes, Wagoner has taken the lead. He's also trying to work a little bit with Britton. Not anymore. Caution is out. Don Milkowitz involved in this caution. They're still wrecking. It's David Collins around the runway. The Collinator on the loop.
Not sure what happened at 707, kind of wrecked after the fact here. We'll have to back this up and see exactly how this all played out, but maybe a heavy checkup. I don't know, maybe they checked up more. Is that the 43 again?
I'm
that hit
hearing.
him?
I'm not quite sure. The cause of caution was Milkowitz making contact with Jeff Scott. Yeah, it was the 43.
So he got the car fixed, but comes back out and puts another dent in it. So now let's find Malkowitz and see where this wreck starts in front of them.
Yeah.
And he's got a pretty clean car. I don't know that he got too much damage from this.
Is that a turn 4? I can tell you that. Let's see if we can take a look one more time. Watch. Scott already has damage. And, well, there was a lane up at the top. He didn't want to go there.
And then you see the 707. So everybody's checking up the 38 of Jeff Scott. Just had the right front camber broken completely off. And he can't really steer or keep it up to speed. Front of that car's dragging the ground. And that created a heavy checkup. So we can't really pin anything on the 43. Like I said, the spoiler is just so tall in these cars, you can't see anything in front of you at all. And unfortunately, he finds himself with another spot of damage before the halfway mark.
As you can see, Jeff Scott picked up a meatball flag from that. He has fixed it in his Wagoner's welding machine.
Gonna use that only fast repair.
Yeah, have to if you want to keep having a chance at points. Wagoner missing a pit box, though.
Yeah, so
he had been the leader. Everybody up front missed the box.
They're still trying to find it.
And Wagoner just took fuel only. So this is now an awkward box for the 30 car. Old rubber up at the front as a result. And Benjamin Richards is second off the pit lane with fresh tires. And this is a nervous time, though, for some of these drivers with the strategy roulette. John Hudson, Greg Spiker, both staying out on what is essentially 10-ish lap or so old tires.
Yeah, I think Hudson's in a little bit better spot. Greg's got 20 on this, or actually 14, but Hudson's got the clean air. Either way, though, they're going to feel the effects of this run. If it goes green like it did on the last one for a long time, I would look to see these guys start to struggle holding these newer tires back. And Wagoner, who I'd say about 7 or 8 of these under green, but he also drove through the field very aggressively, so he's probably going to have a little bit of a 2x multiplier on those tires because he was running a low line. He got very aggressive and took the lead away on lap 41, so I don't know. It's a change up, interesting strategy, but James knows that now he has to start going into conservation mode with the tires because everyone behind him just took their first set.
Or at the very least, those who hadn't used them already. We've seen half sets used by a couple, most. You'll only be 4 using the set here. So just about getting set to go. And an EOL penalty for the 23, Sierra Clamper. Too many boxes through the pit lane. So the streamer will go from the mid pack to the very back. And she just realized she got the penalty.
Yeah, and then the rule book there, it states 3 in or 3 out. You just got to count those, whether it's 2 in and 1 out or 1 in and 2 out, whatever you got to do. You can come in, clean in your box, and go all 3 on the exit. It's a maximum of 3 boxes. That's a common rule for a lot of leagues. It prevents drivers from having, first off, an unsafe exit because you got people that could still be trying to find their stall and you drive through it, hit them. And then secondly, you kind of put yourself in a scenario where it's an unsafe and unfair advantage where you can exit, especially if you have that 3rd or 4th pit stall where you can just shoot the gap and not have to pull back out. Those guys that are deep on the pit road, you know?
These cars still have to pass her. Noah's made it past the 23 as they come to the green flag. Back on her way. Hudson avoids tire spin, and we're back on her way.
She might get another black flag for not letting everyone go by. I'm not sure how that's going to play out with the track steward. They might make her do a drive-through penalty. Oh, 65 into the wall, Spiker.
Oh, and they're still getting shuffly. Greg Spiker gets shuffled back for the race lead. Christopher Hodges is going for the point. They're trying to make contact behind that.
Watch William Britton shoot the middle there as Spiker gets close to the exit wall again. Very, very tight, then snaps loose. The 28, very patient. Bill Daniels gave Spiker a huge break there. That could have turned out to be another catastrophe on lap 48.
Stephen Aguilar amongst those trying to back things up a little bit on the bottom. Already, the old tires are fading and fading into the wall. Greg Spiker again hits the wall as the leaders try and settle it out. Only 2 broken away from the pack, Hodges and Richard Hurst.
Spiker falls out of the top 10 very quickly. The 3 car has held it a little bit better. Hudson, he's still in 6th, but he's got cars all over him, and the 54's around. Into the outside wall. That's going to do it. Another caution, yep.
Caution is out. Todd Mays. Joseph Fagioni T-boned in the middle of the track. And everybody else joins the party. Teresa Spiker amongst those in the stack up. Clamper drives around it. Others like Bill Daniels, no place to go. And Daniels' race may be at the very least done. William Britton is also in it.
Here's where it starts, and you saw Spiker clip the wall there again. That started the shuffle, and these guys all going for position, jostling around. creates a big run out of 4 here.
And then chaos.
Actually begins up there with the 54 at the bottom of your screen. The 64, the 10 get together. The 30, I think that's the 35 of Ellis across the hood from the 10 car. And then they just can't stop. It just clogs up on the front stretch. Let's go aboard with Casey Ellis here.
Let's see what the 58 see. Ellis, around 35.
Hello.
And somehow, no damage, question mark?
Looks like it. Another one of those mysterious car off the ground, not counting. We saw it with Clampert earlier. Todd Mace, really, I mean, yeah, he gets spun out, but he starts it with whatever happened in his situation. We'll back it up one more time to see. Somehow ends up still in the top 10 here.
Expect that to change. Significant damage to Mays and mandatory repairs, mind you. And these cars are hard to stop when you have a lot of momentum and you're basically full throttle down the front stretch like that.
Yeah, and you got a lot of people behind you too that you're relying on stopping, and you got to plan that accordingly. With the spoiler again, we keep talking about it, but it's one of those things where you're lifting off the throttle. You're not necessarily hitting the brakes, because then you see what happens with earlier in this race where the 43 gets into the back and shoots it to the inside wall. If you check up too much, it can create situations like that. So they have to be careful here. Down that front stretch, there's still another 20 cars deep that are trying to go by at speed. I don't know. As a driver, you picture these scenarios all the time, but it's always hard to predict where that car is going to go. You've got the banking in the corner, so you're almost guaranteed when the wreck starts, they're going to the outside wall, and then they'll kind of clean off the track. But down that front stretch, they could be bouncing every which direction. A domino effect, because everyone's got that run. They're 3-4 wide. It's really hard to predict where everyone's going to be.
Several drivers still catching up to the field with a lot of pit stops going on for repairs. But back to scheduled programming almost. Hodges, Hurst, 1-2. Where do we see that before? Oh, wait, 30 minutes ago.
Yep. Cream rising back to the top. The guys that waited on their tires back into a good scenario here. We're going to see the lights go out on the pace car, and the 34 predictably going to take the outside, I would say. Yeah, and so Hurst, Hodges, been duking it out. Not a lot of haymakers, but remember that Wagoner kind of come up here through a wrench in it. The 64 Britain threw a wrench in it. When they start to get off sequence, that's when you see this change for the lead. But right now, the 34 of Hodges, in my book right now, if everything goes his way and something unpredictable doesn't happen with 10 to go, someone pulls out an extra set or something ridiculous happens to his race, I think he's the car to beat.
So just about set to get back underway. Hodges, Hurst, Benjamin Richards, Wagoner, Hennings, Aguilar, Ellis, Howerton, Pillar, and Epker, your top 10. Haven't had too much time, should say, to talk about, say, Benjamin Richards, because he's been bounced around a fair bit tonight. He's up 31. So far, he's now your butt kicker biggest mover by far.
Oh, for sure.
And he's had to survive a lot of trouble.
56 car looking good there on the outside. He'll be able to run the restart with this leader, so that's an advantage. We'll see how it plays out. He's got those 4 fresh tires. He's on equal playing field with this top 5. Let's see what Richards has got the first time up in the mix. 34 Hodges. I think we go on board here with Hurst and see what he's going to see for this restart.
On the inside line, back and away.
VR setup. He's looking to the apex of that corner, getting a little bit loose. He's got cars on his back bumper.
Doesn't seem to be having to focus too much on the rear view. Single file it out for the most part for the first 3 spots. It's 3 wide for 4. Wagoner getting shuffled. Aguilar with the pass. Here comes Hennings, as Hennings now forces Richards to have to look.
An up and down day for the 818 and the 74 scored on iRacing. He's been in a couple situations where the car got caught up in things, not his fault. 3 wide behind him, though. He's able to get clear of that and work his way up to 3rd. Now going after the 21 of Hurst and the 35 of Ellis into the wall. He's going to take the 11 with him of Epker.
Caution flag is out again, and there goes Daryl Aronson straight into it. And here comes the rest of the party again. Donald in it, Teresa Spiker in it. That was a hard choice for the 51. They chose Ron.
Yeah, you saw the 35 break something on the left front, so that pulled that car back out in front of him. And unfortunately, nowhere to go at that point. Thank you back on the V-Speed instant replay. From the blimp camera, I think we'll do this with justice. Coming out of turn 2.
Ellis did take responsibility over the radio. Let's see how this played out.
Into the wall there. Oof.
Oh, 2 different cars didn't check up, and then everyone else nowhere to go after they landed the lap again.
Yeah, PJ Cox got a piece of it as well. Going forward there with the front end of this machine. Look how hard it is to choose. It's all in real time, and you see it happening, but where do you go, and then it's in your lap. Big spoiler in front, you see the smoke.
Yeah. Already committed.
Yep.
And a lot of damage for a lot of race cars yet again. McDonald, Ellis, David Collins, all mandatory damage. Jimmy Sucks with a black flag from the incident as well. And we still have an hour 15 laps before we're at the halfway point. Here's a small reminder, there is a time limit just in case for tonight of an hour and 50 minutes. There is the potential, if this continues, that it may become a factor here with cautions, precautions.
Very much could become a factor. We're at the 49-minute mark on my timing. I don't know what yours is saying right now, but we are under that hour mark, and we're not quite halfway. This does give us a perfect opportunity, though. Let's talk a little bit about our sponsors, get some bills paid here over for VRX, and let you guys know that we appreciate what you guys do. Hope you guys are enjoying the action so far here from Auto Club Speedway in the Vrx World Cup. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back right after this.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff. The motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
one-size-fits-all for almost anything in life. So don't settle for a one-size-fits-all setup. Eliminate the frustration in building with an AI-powered personalized toolkit to boost you forward to victory. Optimize your setup and improve your performance over those cookie-cutter builds used by the rest of the pack. Vantage is iRacing.com's first AI setup builder. Save your time and give back to your personal life. Vantage takes any setup for any track and adjusts it specifically to your needs. Choose from over 100 cars for any paved circuit. A custom-tailored experience that's easy to understand and tested to fit any driver style. Subscriptions as low as $8.50 per month. And for a limited time, new members get a 7-day free trial with unlimited access to all Vantage has to offer. Let Orange Speed Vantage free you of the endless loop of testing and get you back on track to victory lane. Visit orangespeedvantage.ai to get started. Back here live. Sorry about that, Justin. Back here live at Fontana, and we missed the restart there, but then another yellow flag came out right after that.
Yes, was about to say, welcome back. We're back under caution because the heart of the field, drivers tried to battle and tried to clear here at the Vrx World Cup. And in turn, as we've seen all night, that's been a trouble spot, is when drivers try and clear down the middle of the straightaway. It's been an attrition one so far. This time, Clampered amongst those involved as we're back under caution here at V-Speed.
Bring it up on your screen here and get you a quick glance at what happened. Looks like Jeff Scott was involved in this as well.
Watch the 38. But keep in mind, Clampered didn't go to the wall on the track up. Doesn't matter when that happens. Right here.
Man, that takes out another 6 or 7 cars that can't really afford to get any more repairs done. Let's go aboard with the 23. I mean, innocent bystander. No fault of her own.
Yeah, even if you argue you didn't track to the wall, that's not the defense of I turned right down the straightaway.
Just kind of meeting up there in the middle. The 05 involved in that again. Big hit there from the 11 at the end of that wreck.
And no surprise, Jeff Scott just picked up the UL penalty for the caution. At least another 5 cars involved in this incident. And sad thing is, Jimmy Stocks didn't get the service black flag penalty yet. That's how quick the caution came after the restart for the 01. We're already 1 to go. Hodges, yet again in control. Hurst, yet again in second. And no surprise, Aguilar is in the top 4 for the first time. Well, first time comfortably for a restart.
Aguilar doing a phenomenal job of maintaining this and being within striking distance here. Close to the end. I think time might expire before we expire the laps. We'll have to wait and see as we pace around here a little bit more frequently than we did at the start of this race. We'll have to see if the track stewards say anything to these drivers, let them know, hey, we're kind of getting short on time, if it cleans up the racing, or if we see guys get more aggressive. It's almost the iRacing version of a rain delay or a rain-ended race when you expire time. So sometimes teams in real life will just start to push really hard because they know that that can be their final chance to pick up spots.
Just a couple laps away from halfway. So we'll see how these drivers race it on out here in the next moments or so. Once you're top 10 plus. We'll talk about those drivers in just a moment in the Through the Field presented by Butt Kicker. But with these drivers, let's see how they go through the gears. Hodges again in control. He's led 49 laps so far. We're back underway. Yet again, a good start, a good launch, and yet again, Hurst to second off the jump.
Yeah, the 34's perfected that in this race, and nobody's really been able to challenge it as we go through the field here with Christopher Hodges leading 50 laps now as he came across the line. Oh, in trouble as we tried to do that. I don't know who that was, but they got it back under control. That was the 56 of Benjamin Richards. What a save on the apron. I thought that car was done.
That's kind of the reason I paused there before getting to that point. Cautions have bred cautions that time. That was nearly a caution in amongst itself there. Off the restart and off the drift.
No contact with the 30, sends it all the way to the inside. What a save. We saw that earlier. That car didn't make it. The last one we saw shoot to the inside, hit the inside wall.
Now the caution is out because Daryl Aronson's around, Gunter's in it, and several more try and get on the binders and slam into the wall.
That was the 33, I believe.
Paul McDonald right across the track.
Maybe he already had something broken and couldn't control it anymore or got clipped.
Yeah, that was one of the drivers who ended up getting into the back of some of those trying to lock down on the binders. And yet again, the big one.
Teresa Spiker involved again. Let's go on board with Arnoldson. Being labeled as the 4 car, but scored as the 51 on our telemetry. Let's see what he saw here. Car way up the racetrack. That's the 65 of Spiker, I believe. And then a check up there. Not sure where that 65 is going to go. Teresa Spiker gets into the back of him. Let's watch that one more time. You're gonna see. I don't know what happened to Spiker. We're talking about Greg Spiker. Did he get contact or tag the apron? What exactly went on here to send him up the track like that? He got loose.
Oh, yeah. And then
Oh, it was the 11 that ran into the back of the 4.
that was Jared Epker, and he's got mandatory repairs from that contact. A lot more drivers involved in contact.
He's behind this pretty deep, and the 4 is going to go up here and put himself in this situation. And, you know, you can't really predict that this is going to happen, but this is where he moves up a lane, and he's thinking, okay, I'm getting a run on the outside, but then that checkup right there shuts that run down, and the 11 just didn't lift at all.
So in turn,
hard to see, right?
yeah. I can tell you this, there's at least another 3 cars with meatball flags as a result of that, and a DNF for Bill Daniels. Now with the caution out, now it's a good time as we've gone to the halfway point of the race for the Thrustmaster through the field, presented by Thrustmaster. Let's take a look at through the field. Christopher Hodges, he's been outright dominant tonight, 53 laps led. As long as he's had the fresher tires, he's been up at the front. Richard Hurst is in second. So far, Hurst has stayed lockstep with the 34. In the third spot, Stephen Aguilar, who started this race in the 12th position. He's currently holding on to third, up 9 positions already, and is charged to the field. Brian Hennings, he's been all over the field in the 74. He's in the top 5 right now in the 4th position. He's led none so far. Logan Rhodes, he's had to use a fast repair already.
He's been beat off every part of the track, I think.
Yeah, including the front bumper, nearly drifted into the walls. Very lucky at this point to still be running. You know who's also lucky? The next car in the line. Greg Pillar. He showed a little bit of moxie to make it back up here to 6th. He's been involved in some trouble. You know who's had a quiet night, though? Mr. Blinky. Area 51's Mike Howerton. He's up to 7th. He started 20th, and he's been in the top 10 most of the night. Also back in the top 10 is Todd Mays after significant contact. That driver has had a lot of contact and repairs done on that machine. Then, next in line, in the Thrustmaster machine, in terms of his outside of series paint look, Mulcahy is right now holding on to the top 10. Knows also back up from an EOL penalty for a constant caution earlier to round up the top 10. Don Milkowitz is from 25th to 10th from his starting spot, and he rounds out your top 10 this evening here, Bradley.
And it just occurred to me that some of these paints hadn't loaded quite properly, so we're going to try to get that updated for you on the fly. So I do apologize for that. Trading Paints sometimes does its thing where it doesn't work quite correctly, so again, we have a few of these cars that loaded okay.
You know what's more important? The restart. Past halfway. We're coming up to 56 to go. And that's the estimated laps. Here's the thing. Can't tell you, we're at 39 minutes on the clock. Right now, it's estimated not to make it to lap 125. Hodges is off and away. And again, we're back underway.
A lot of positions up the grab, so now you got to change your mindset about, well, we're going to expire time. We don't know how many laps we're going to get in exactly, but we're going to push it like crazy. And now that I see this, these cars loading properly, beautiful car there on the 74. I'd like to, again, apologize, but, man, 3 wide back here for just a brief moment. The 90 of Pillar, he cannot afford to get in any more scuffles. He's going to have to maintain this top 5 because we're running out of time. He falls back now to 7th.
Munsell still trying to run the top as Pillar. Mentioned in that 7th spot. The battle for the lead is on, though. Look who is coming. It's Aguilar. He gets shuffled by Hurst. Now it's more so a focus to battle for 2nd than it is for 1st.
And Hurst has been fighting, trying to get by that 34 all day, but every time he's in kind of a mode where he can chase him down, somebody in this top 5 starts to race with him and use up his tires. I don't think anybody can have anything for the 34 as long as he's not having a race. 3 wide now for 3rd.
They're still trying to sort it out. Aguilar doesn't have too much help, maybe Mays at best. And he gets shuffled as a result. Down the line, builds back to the top. And what can I say? The wall's the best place if you want to lead a pack or a line. You can't get anyone to your quarter panel on the right side if you can't pass the wall.
Yeah, that outside just been so much faster, and giving dirty air to these guys has been so beneficial for the 34. He can run his own, do what he wants to do with it. And up here on the outside, you're going to see the 21 try to cut into some clean air. Gets a little bit of a run, but there's the speed, the scrub off. He has to lift out of the throttle on the exit. Here's the draft, though. Into 1. He's going to have another run, maybe another crack at it as they go into the entrance of the corner. Hard on the bumper of the 34. No sins yet. 70 laps. And 3 wide behind him with Pillar on the outside. The 8's getting a little loose.
Oh, a little bit too loose. Had to back out of the gas significantly. And Aguilar loses a lot of time. By the way, 12 on back has lost a lot of time on track. They're using a lot of side draft and using a lot of each other up here. There's the caution. And it's not because of a wreck. Shane Gunter stopped on the track and had a gear issue.
Ah, that's a shame. Shane was having a decent day. He was up in the top 20, close to the top 15 when this happens to him. The technical issue.
I think it's tech issue, broken axle, and everything else. Apparently, this started in turn 1.
Yeah, he's still dragging the wall.
Go all the way back to turn 1. He was battling in the 20s, and then he was no longer battling in the 20s and had to use the wall to find a way to get to the pit lane with a broken right front tire. How'd he break it? This.
Well, maybe not a technical issue. Maybe trying to avoid a wreck and just broke something. What do you think?
Broke something and maybe troubles in turn.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah,
keep in mind, obviously that's not going to be easy to turn left when you don't have an ability to turn a wheel, let alone both front tires.
Yeah, both front tires are not touching the ground. You see that left front wasn't even actually part of the racing surface anymore. And he's trying to get this thing turned down to pit road. Probably has the wheel wrenched. As we look at the gyro camera, well, he's trying to get it to do something.
Well, I think he also lost the steering wheel on top of it. He's not even turning the wheel itself at that point.
Tried to use the wall to bounce it down. Now he's hit the brakes a little bit, let the banking pull it down, but at that point, that's what's bringing out the yellow.
And that's why it was thrown there, because if he didn't use the banking to turn it down there, the leaders would have slammed into full throttle.
That's unfortunate there, and has to, at least he gets it back to his pit box, so we do have that, but whatever happened with the force feedback, maybe cut the power to the wheel. Some of these wheels do have an override. If they get a sudden surge of power, clipping from the sim can shut them off, disconnect them. We've seen that happen. We've also seen VR headsets decide to disconnect when things get real heavy in traffic. More moving pieces, more things can go wrong, right?
So in turn, getting ready for the restart. A lot of drivers staying out here. Top 7, in fact. Hurst on back. All either took tires or came down for 2 tires. So,
this might be their last
mixed
time
up
to do it.
strategy.
I say, why not? Good strategy, actually, in my opinion. You've got limited time now. This could be your last chance to come down pit road and get 4 fresh ones and have good track position, so why not?
Race control has just confirmed to the field they are expecting this to now end on time and strictly to time. So drivers are going to have about 32 minutes to go. The green flag flies. Give credit to William Britton. With this caution flag, he's up to 3rd. Interesting enough, when he had the repairs done, he only took 2 tires. So we'll see how the balance is there from the 2nd row. Fresh tires are 8th on back. As mentioned with Hurst, Hennings, Mays, Rhodes on back. Expectations for what we're about to see.
Well, we're going to see some of these older tires probably spin it. I think the 34 has been doing a phenomenal job on his restarts, but look for maybe the 30 car to try to match that, spin the tires, the outside check up. I would predict that we have a big checkup on the outside line. It could cause another wreck. We'll have to wait and see.
Pace car is off. Under 32 minutes to go. Green flag's back out. And no go from the inside. Pillar doesn't get going. Wagoner doesn't get going either. He's having some issues with the gears.
All over the back bumper is William Britton trying to get that 90 car up to speed so they can go into turn 1 and maybe have a chance to catch Hodges. The 21 of Hurst on those fresh tires going to take him 3 wide to the outside of the 38 of Jeff Scott. He's going to get a big run down the backstretch. Contact there. Off of the wall. They keep it clean. Benjamin Richards now to the inside for the 5th spot.
And the battle with strategy is continuing on. Scott amongst those who stayed out. He pit the previous caution. Lots of those on the top side, such as Mays. They're amongst those who just came down for fresh rubber. Here's Brian Hennings. Right now he's trapped behind a couple drivers on that bottom line looking for a place to go. That blue car, David Collins, he stayed out on some of the oldest tires and now he's side by side with him. But those tires are not holding up well. Aguilar tried to push him. This is getting mighty dicey. Go ahead.
Yes, it's getting crazy up here in the top 3. The 34 car loses the lead. The 30 car takes it over, and now he's fallen back a little bit. First time today that we've seen Hodges really be in a bad situation. He's dictated this field pretty much all race long. He's led the most laps, and now he's got guys going 3-4 wide on the inside trying to get Ryan Hurst on those fresh tires, starting to feel the effects of cold. and he almost loses it going into one.
Mention the key point. Wagoner, who's on 20 lap fresher tires, is up front and is running away. It's 3 wide again behind him. Jeff Scott leaning a bit on Hodges, avoids contact. Hurst nearing the wall. There they go. They crash for the edge of the top 10. David Collins right into the path of Michael Howerton. And the cautions under review. Cautions breed cautions yet again.
Not exactly sure where this one starts because I think we had the 54, the 707. Yep, that was where it was. He's been a part of a lot of things here today. The 707 gets the worst end of it this time. Back it up one more time. David Collins hard into the outside wall as they exit 4.
Collinaires had a lot of scrapes, not just for the bottoming out today. And
right there.
There's the, yeah, nowhere to go if you're Mays. And then it's even worse for Howerton. And
Howerton gets sent to the outside wall at probably 120, 130. He had checked up a little bit, but still a pretty decent impact.
just going to clear that one car. He's got a meatball flag. Let's take a listen.
Not too bad. I think checked up enough before that, but you know, good chance a car could have came by and cleaned him off the racetrack. So he's very lucky that people had actually gotten through that and to come down, get some of that damage repaired, 4 fresh tires for the 52. Again, time a factor, so some of these guys that got caught up in that are going to be kind of in desperation mode. Do you think we see more of the same?
Wagoner and Scott, mind you, are on the same tire cycle. Hurst has the 7-lap fresher tires. Then you have William Brennan, who's on the 2. That's on older rubber. Logan Rhodes, fresh tires. Hennings, fresh tires. Keep in mind, there is a driver to be expected towards the back, Hodges. Now, here's the thing for Hodges. This is the furthest back I think he's had a restart tonight, even with the strategy roulette. And it's pretty clear it's not so easy to come from back here with how many drivers have had so much contact trying to come from back to front.
Yeah, Hodges and Benjamin Richards both are going to be in a weird scenario where they haven't had, I think Richards has had to deal with it a little bit here tonight, but Hodges has not been back here at all. He's been in the top 5 all night. And so seeing what this 34 can do in traffic, that's really going to be the tell-all, because now we're limited on time. We're going to expire this race a little early. 34 car has to sing. He has to go now. We're under 50 to go. We're under 30 minutes. Now's the time where you cash the check. This is the payday right here.
There is one thing to know. Like with the green light on fuel is during this caution period, if anything. So those drivers who pit are for sure good to go, even with the time limit, based on the estimated laps to go, about 38. So Hodges once again will be restarting from 19th. Up front, it's James Wagoner, who's going to be restarting outside, and he has a teammate and Scott alongside. We haven't had too much time to discuss teamwork. Roughneck Racing, looking to see if they can work together here. Your thoughts here, as the Highland Hammer is not able to start from the high side here.
I think having a teammate beside you, it kind of eases your mind a little bit. However, the 64 of William Britton is going to make sure these guys don't get together and can't work together to protect this lead. And the 21 of Hurst, who's been hungry for it all day long, and the one guy that was keeping it from him is no longer in the picture. Let's see how it shakes out. Green flag back up in the air for the 9th time here today. Into the restart zone And James Wagoner takes him into turn 1 from the outside.
Back underway once more with a clean launch. Richard Hurst trying to push his way through Scott. Had to lift off a little bit. It's offset 3 wide again. Hurst tries to block. Nearly on the apron going the 7 for a moment.
Now he's going to come back across the nose of the 7 that he blocked down to the apron, protecting those positions. That's what you got to do, but the 7 going to get probably a little impatient if he does that again.
Looks like he's looking for a proper place to place it. Back to the inside. Try to use the apron to rotate again. For the lead, William Britton is on the doorstep. He's looking to push instead to start the run.
Yeah, at 30 drove it in a lot deeper than I think the 64 thought he could. He pushed him to almost a 0.2 of a second gap, and now this exit speed going to play a factor. But look up on the outside, the 21. Look what he did. Richard Hurst back up here. He's going to have the momentum going into 3. Up on the outside.
Can he make it stick? He's going to try it. He's taking away the preferred groove. Wagoner trying to stay low. Trouble behind. Exiting stage right. Goes Britt into the grass. He drops into the heart of the pack.
Oh, and the car in front of him.
And more wrecks. No caution yet. They are still crashing in 1. Still no caution. We are still green as they fight for the lead.
And Richard Hurst, for the first time today, has a chance to lead a lap. He's on the outside and going to carry it into 3. The 30 Wagoner doesn't have the line here. He's going to slow up the speed. And Richard Hurst officially going to get a lap lead here.
He gets it fully done. He's now had 1.1 laps led technically, 2 on the stat sheet. Jeff Scott with the edge to second for now. You know who's already in the top 10 just about? Knock, knock. The 34 is joining the party on the bottom.
He's been quietly creeping up here since this restart. He's just outside 10th. All over the back bumper of Todd Mace. Going to use this run. Those fresh tires just make you look like Superman. I tell you what, the 34's already been fast, but now he's got a big advantage.
This time he's boxed in. He's right now behind Todd Mays. Oh, near contact, and there is contact. Cox around, more stacking up. Caution flag is out yet again, and more cars crashing in the grass. Howardson, Cheevers, Greg Pillar amongst those in the infield.
Oh man, what a moment for Hodges. I bet he saw the whole race flash before his eyes just now while you're on board with him.
And he put wreck in the chat box in the sim after he got through the wreck. That's how stressful that got. That could have been the most dominant driver's race right there. Instead, he got through to 6th.
Picked up quite a few positions after that. Let's go back on the replay and ride on here.
They look fine, fine, not fine.
I mean, right here, you don't even see that car until it's sideways. And he reacted perfectly. Thankfully, no one was inside when he did that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And again, that took on a lot of contenders. Look at what's involved. Gunter, more meatball flags. James Wagoner got a hard hit from it. Wow, that was close, and this was even worse.
I just missed that other one from Hurst.
Albertson didn't miss, though. And no wheel penalty. Bad news, too, in this caution. Brian Hennings just turned over the radio. He had a computer crash during the caution.
Ah, no, he was up here in the top 3. That's unfortunate for Brian. He's been up front all race long now. He's actually stuck. off the track here. He's going to lose a lap. And I don't think there's any stipulation for drivers disconnecting, having any issues, or getting any laps back. That's a real shame for Hennings. He was having a great night.
So with this caution, more strategy roulette. Hurst came in, Cox came in, Jimmy Socks came in. Once those on fresher tires. So a lot of strategy again, but it's Ellis now in control. Keep in mind, Hodges is in a great spot here in the top 6 for the restart, likely. Although that's about to change. Blake with top 5 because Tom Mays is turned into a turtle. Or at least a crab. That's a broken axle still.
Yeah, what happened here to the 54 was earlier in that caution, he actually got a big piece of that and likely stayed out, not knowing if, this race was going to end or some kind of situation. But that car was damaged enough that it has to come down pit road. He's probably he's regretting that he has to do this because he used his pass repair and he was trying to fight it. That's all there is to it.
The one thing that does get him, a lap on anybody who DNF from the incident. Bad news, no one else DNF from the incident.
Yeah, we actually had an unrelated driver off track. He's back out there now, the 74 Hennings, so that was the only car that actually had a disconnection. And he's 2 laps down now, but still a chance with waiver rounds that he could get these laps back. We'll have to wait and see. Time-wise, really crunched down here. And for the first time today, Casey Ellis is going to lead him. Steven Aguilar on the outside. Look at Rhodes, that 7 car just keeps on digging. I don't know how he's maintained to stay in this race with as much has happened to him tonight. Hodges, that's the one I'm looking at right now. What does he do in response to coming through this field and having that oh no moment right in front of him?
Let's find out, shall we? The freshest tires, well, 15th on back. Just about set to get back underway. Dark Box Racing's Casey Ellis in control for the first time. We're back underway. Bit of tire spin for Jeff Scott this time, and a poor launch from Hodges. Here's a look from Hodges. He wants his lead back, and he wants it now. Side by side for third. He tries to wrap the bottom.
Big push there on the outside. That's Steven Aguilar in the center of Rhodes. They're pushing all the way. Launches the 8 car to the lead here.
For the first time this season, it's Aguilar for the point. And he nearly sends it into the fence.
He did 3 saves there at the exit of 4. He had the lead for just a brief second, but Rhodes is going to end up leading it. Now the 34, Hodges back into the picture for second. 3 wide for that position. Ellis all the way up high. 34 has the tires. He can get by with ease. Now he sets his sights on the 7 of Rhodes.
After all the stipulations and tribulations, Rhodes has somehow managed to take the lead for the first time here. Under 17 minutes to go. Hodges, he's back inside. He looks for the point again. Hodges has a small edge for now. Here comes Ellis, and here comes Aguilar yet again.
Rhodes just barely able to hold on to that lead, and the 34 just so much better on the bottom here. He's going to dive it in deep, and you're going to see him probably slide up in front of the 7 car. Now he's going to give him that dirty air, and that's what he's played on Hurst. He's played it on Aguilar. He's done it to a lot of people tonight. He's back in control of this lead, right where he wants to be.
Rhodes not going for the send. He's taking a risk. He tries to go a lane lower though. Aguilar sends it for second, can't clear. Near contact behind them, offset 3 for a moment. Rhodes looks to coil it up in the Rev Motorsports car. Here's Hurst as he looks to try and move on his freshest tires in the field.
Oh, in contact there with the 38. Jeff Scott tried to trim that. Thought maybe the 21 was going to come down a little more on the entrance. Didn't happen, and the 21 ends up benefiting from that. Up to 4th now. Actually, 5th position. He's got the 64 of William Britton, who's recovered nicely, back up there in the top 5.
And he, too, is amongst those doing well despite being on older rubber. Another send. Not able to clear on the outside. Ellis zips by up to the 4th spot is Hurst. Know who's back up front? PJ Cox. He, too, is on fresh tires. Now he's the first on fresh rubber.
He's got a big advantage here. He has to play it well, though. He's got a lot of traffic to his inside and in front of him. He has to be very careful about where he picks and chooses to battle these guys.
As a result, Hodges is playing the lines. Cox spending more time battling with Hurst. A big send inside for the lead. Hurst using the big power to get alongside the leader, but no one to help. At least Hurst has a chance to slot for 3rd. No, Ellis takes the slot and takes it away.
And now you see the 34 of Hodges movement down to the bottom. He's going to try to give Hurst that dirty air like he was doing all race long. The difference on tires, about 7 laps here, probably 5 of them under green. The 34 car has his work cut out for him. Dominant car of the day, under fire from Hurst.
He goes for the slide job. Can Hurst park it? Just looking for the run. He's got it. Richard Hurst, race lead. 20 estimated to go. Caution. And what a time to make the pass back. Gianni amongst those involved in this one. It's from 18th position, and it involves Jeff Scott.
Oh, it was getting exciting there. I was waiting to see if Hodges had an answer for that. He had lost some of that momentum from running. Oh, Clamper gets another piece of that. But Hodges had kind of lost the momentum trying to give Hurst that dirty air. Not as effective this time because of the fresher tires. And so that turn 2 exit carried over into 3 and 4, and Hurst just sent it in there. I mean, phenomenal. He looked so much faster than he has all race long, and then, you know, partial to those tires, but mostly because he knows it's crunch time. He maybe was doing a little bit of conservation, not showing his hand earlier in this race, hanging with the 34, but now when it counts, he's up front towards the end.
Gianni, by the way, just given the constant caution penalty. So the 10 will have to come back down. Meatball flags for Scott and Clampert. Result. Working the V-speed into replay one more time.
He just came up the track a little bit. I can see where that would be because, unfortunately, the 38 car has just had a tough time all night. Gets caught up in another one. So Jeff Scott probably, that car's probably had enough. He's been smart though with his, you know, trying to conserve that mass repair as long as he could. It just, you know, keep getting caught up in him. He's going to try to get as much of this fixed as he can as he sits on pit road. Putting the Incredible Hulk on the side of the car. Everybody else thought smash. That seems to be the case here.
But with 11 minutes to go, the battle between Hurst and Hodges could become critical. Hodges has looked very composed, but Hurst has the slightly fresher rubber. You mentioned a 5-lap difference potentially. If you factor in green flag laps, that's massive at a track that is known for, with this pavement on the surface, to be a cheese grater.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was due for a repave, and this track is still very much alive in the virtual world, but considering that they're going to make the grandstands and front stretch shorter and turn it into a short track, was kind of already predetermined when they talked about repaving this 2-mile oval. You know, the West Coast, very environmentally friendly, and so that mindset kind of in the market here, you gotta take that into consideration as to why this track didn't get that repave. And I know there's a lot of other factors that go into it, you know, land and things like that. But it is a real shame. I really love this track, and it's great to still be able to live that history and see this track. But yeah, since 1997, this track has been on the same asphalt, and it's very abrasive out here.
Now, there is one thing to note if you want to discuss that point. Keep in mind that 2025 date for it to return to a schedule for stock car racing is actually on hold because timelines have been pushed back. Remember, they delayed the conversion by a year after what happened with COVID.
Right. Which, in my opinion, was the best racing we saw at Auto Club in the new car, or in any car, really, in the last decade.
So, it's going to be taking time for the future is seen. But right now, in the present, the battle's on for the win. Estimated 15 or so laps to do it. Under 10 minutes on the clock. Hurst with the fresher rubber. Hodges with the experience up front. Ellis and Cox right behind. Remember, Cox on the same timer cycle as Hurst. We're back underway. The top four get the best launch. That was not the start Hodges needed. Already under attack.
He's got something to his outside, but he is going to have a little bit of advantage that restarted that bottom a little bit easier to get the momentum out of the corner. So he gets up in front of the 05, but Cox is going to get a good run into 3.
Back straight away, Stephen Aguilar.
Oh, no.
More contact, and this time it's with Sierra Clamper.
That's going to dwindle it down to even less time. We're almost into a green-white checker with the time limit.
That's a very tough break for the gate. Able to avoid a meatball flag. Both drivers did, in fact, but again, that will restack the field. Clamper's already towed it. Take a look. This was mid-pack.
Saw a little bit of a check up there on the inside, so they decided to take it 3-4 wide on the restart. See Clamper there up on the high side. Aguilar dives it into the middle. I don't know if maybe he scrubs up the track. That looks like that's what happens, and he gets put in the 4 wide. And Clamper, not her fault. She's just stuck up there.
It's been deemed a racing incident. No wheel penalties coming. It was out of the contact there. Remember, that was four wide in that sequence.
Yep. Get one more good look at it here from the blimp camera. The 64 of Britain down there loose actually starts that 4 wide. And the 8 of Aguilar just kind of jostling the wheel. He's not sure how close and tight he's going to be coming off the 2. Unfortunately, not enough room there to gather it back up.
So the Twitch partner is out of the race. The race is in that incident after 4 wide. And Lucky Dog, this caution. 2 laps down now. Teresa Spiker. Only needs a couple more and she has a chance to battle for 21st on 4.
Yep. That's a prime example of why you never quit. And that's part of the reason Mama T does what she does here at VRX. She's still in that learning mode of very early in her iRacing career, but as we actually had a little scoring issue there with the name, but she's got a chance. Not out of the woods yet there for some of these drivers like Hennings as well, kind of in the situation 1 lap down, could after the computer issue could come back as well. Does Christopher Hodges have anything for Richard Hurst? That's what I'm questioning right now. The way the tires fell, I don't think he does.
That was going to be my next question because on the clock, we have 5 minutes as we get by the stripe this time. Under 5, in fact.
Yep.
We're looking at this potentially, Bradley, being the restart to decide the race. How do you play this out if you're Hodges?
I mean, right now, the 21 dictates the restart. You know how your restarts have been all race long, so you know the advantage. I think you go big or go broke here. You try to time it with him and take him into one on the inside. It's very difficult to do. We rarely see it here at Auto Club. That restart zone is so big, and if you get caught passing before the line, it will ruin your race. You have to maintain that speed. Hodges just needs a perfect start here. He has to hit the tree and react accordingly if he wants any shot at this, and then pray that they can make it around a lap. They can at least get the momentum up and have a chance to pass. And the way that, 10th on back has been running with the new tires, old tires, guys, just trying to get back to the front, chances are slim. I don't know. We'll have to see. I got my blood pressure going. I'm not even in the car.
So this likely going to be the battle for the win. Point of return. By the time we get to the restart, based on the time, the pace laps nearly 2 minutes. We're coming up to 3 minutes to go. Hurst in control on the outside. Hodges on the inside. Then it's Wagoner on recovery back to third. PJ Cox. He starts on the inside in row 2. Pace car is off. This is likely the battle for the win. Back and away, Hurst with a great launch. Hodges with a good launch himself is clear already for second. Can that 34 car get there? He's trying it already. Hodges on the send, side by side for the race lead.
He knows this is his final opportunity. Didn't get quite the momentum he wanted, but a good send there to the inside. Less than 200ths of a second separate the nose of that car from the lead. And the 30 of James Wagoner gives him a little bit of help going into the rear of the track. But Hodges can't connect the tires, and now a move for the 30 of Wagoner to the inside for second. This could be all she wrote. Did we get a white flag here?
Still a few more minutes on the clock itself. Estimated 4 laps to do something for Hodges. He's busy battling more so with Wagoner. Jay Cox now lines up behind him. Cox nearly to the wall. Here's the look for the back end of the leader. Richard Hurst trying to play the lines. Wagoner getting more draft. Hodges trying to find a way to set it up high side.
There's one place the 34 car wants to be. It's up on that high line. He's taking that restart every single time. Now a crossover maybe here on the 30. He's going to use that draft to push that 30 up front and try to chase down the 21.
Caution! Caution flag is out front straightaway. 3 cars stuck together. William Brennan's in it. Also in it, Benjamin Richards, and yet again, Todd Mays having to drive through this.
That might be the time expired here. I'm not entirely sure, but that's going to be really close. That might be it for Hodges to try to fight back here. It's like the 64 came up and they were 3 wide here.
And believe that was Dustin Buck, who had been out of the race with the tech issue for 33 laps. Last car running on track involved. Race control has just confirmed that this race ends under yellow. We are now on the white flag lap, presented by Vrx Simulators. So with 40 seconds left on the clock, we will end the race under caution. Richard Hurst will come across the line with less than 30 seconds here. This is the final lap right here.
A phenomenal job. Richard just, I mean, yeah, we got to count that, something extreme happens, but I think it's safe to say the winner here tonight, and well deserved. He hung with Hodges all night long. He did a phenomenal job putting himself in a situation to strike when it counted, And, you know, good fight back from Hodges. Good race for Wagoner. I know he's up 13 positions from where he began this race, so congratulations to him. But Richard Hurst just silently back there in the tire tracks of Christopher Hodges and gets the win with all the adversity that happened in this race with the cautions and the wrecks, and he was even part of some of those to get the win. Great job. Never quit.
You still have to give major credit to Hodges. Led the most laps tonight. Just didn't pick the right strategy in the end, but that's the tough part. You never know what the winning strategy could be until you're essentially on it.
Yeah, that crystal ball, you can look into it 1,000 times, but every time there's a yellow flag, it starts to cloud up, and you have to polish it, clean it up again, figure out what the mix is. With the top three here tonight, they were up there for 90% of this race. Hodges has to race back to the front. Ultimately, though, your winner here tonight, Richard Hurst in the number 21 car for the race number 1 for Vrx World Cup. He led 14 laps, but most importantly, he's going to lead the last one.
And he gets the first win of the season in the bag. Your opening race winner, Richard Hurst, here tonight. James Wagoner comes away in the second position. Inside the top 3 to close out the podium. Once again, it's Christopher Hodges. Hodges, most laps led here tonight. Finishes third, but this one ending in a caution. So they go in the mix to the cool-down lap. We'll see when they elect to celebrate real quickly. There's actually a tie for the butt kicker biggest mover award tonight. It's both PJ Cox and even bigger, Jimmy Sox, who spent much of the race having to deal with black flags in the 0-1 from 31st to 6th to get his stake on that award.
Oh, I can put the graphic up here for Cox, but he was up in the top 10 for a lot of this race towards the end. So officially, I'm going to announce it to Jimmy Sox for what he did there at the very end of this race, because I don't think we really named Jimmy at all this race. And a surprising top 10 finish for the 0-1. So officially, butt kicker biggest mover, Jimmy Sox.
Up on the front straightaway. The celebration is on, though. Richard Hurst, he gets the victory tonight. And he gets some support from the 30 of James Wagoner. It's a burn down party here in California. So as they do a virtual hug, take a quick step aside, come back, look at the race results and talk with the drivers watching BSB.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Welcome back to tonight's coverage of the Vrx World Cup here on V-Speed as the closing out for the first race is now done. Well, let's take a look at the race results first of all, the unofficial race results specifically, as Richard Hurst tonight is the one who picks up the win over James Wagoner and Christopher Hodges under caution. DJ Cox, Casey Ellis, and Jimmy Sox in the top 6. Logan Rhodes tried so hard, he led a couple laps. He still finished where his car number is in 7th. Then, in the 8th position, Mulcahy has fallen behind by Koski. And Stephen Aguilar, after a couple of incidents, did get back to the top 10, Bradley, to round out said top 10.
Yeah, that late wreck there, I thought maybe did him in, but able to recover and get back up there. That's a stupendous job for only having 2 laps to do it. 11th spot's going to go to the 90 of Greg Pillar. Up and down day for the 90, just outside the top 10. Logan Watering's going to finish in 12th. David Collins, we saw that 707 broadside quite a few times tonight. Thankful finish in 13th. Joseph Fagioni in the 10, another one of those cars that got caught up in a lot. He finishes 14th. Benjamin Richards was up in the top 5, falls back to 15th tonight. Greg Spiker, tough day, 16th position. Daryl Aronson in 17th. Michael Howerton, that car, man, what a struggle. 18th position. Jeff Scott, I think he just had the Hulk smash tonight, so 19th. And then Mike Chivers is going to round out that top 20.
21st this evening goes the way of William Brennan. Then it's Brian Hennings, followed by Teresa Spiker. He's the monster drivers laps down from Hennings on back. John Hudson, Evans, Sierra Clampert finished 26th. Todd Meigs 11 down to 27th. Milkowitz in 28th. Shane Gunter 29th. Rounding at your top 30, Paul McDonald.
5 more drivers here, and a few of them did not finish this race. A few of them didn't even grid. We had the number 58 of, Dustin Buck and Jared Epker in the 11. He got caught up in a lot of things tonight. Wade Palmer in the 43 was very early fast, but then got caught up in some incidents. Bill Daniels, the first one to DNF from this race, and then Chris Phillips, 61 laps down, so I believe he had a short stint at some point in this race, but elected to not finish it as well. So now we're caught up. We have your top 3 track side, and the first driver on the podium well, actually, the 3rd place driver on the podium will be Christopher Hodges in the number 34. We'll bring him here in the pit road. Christopher, I know that it was tough to give up that lead and not be able to get it back. You dominated this race with 65 laps led. But the tires, the cautions, all these different scenarios that kept changing throughout this race, it made it very difficult, in my opinion, to predict what was going to be the outcome.
Oh yeah. It was definitely challenging. It's hard to give up the lead like that and try to figure out when you're going to pit. But good thing is we got a solid top 3. Really, goal was to win. Goal was to win every week. But you get a top 3, that's 3rd best. So that's always good. But yeah, I dominated early. Kept myself in the front, and my strategy was just to try to keep track position, keep it when I need to. Did that early on, and then 4 or 5 cautions before the finish. Richard and all those guys pitted. I was going to wait a little bit because the time was running out, and we got through all that, so made my way through the pack. But give props to Richard. He told me he went from 15th to 1st, or not 1st, but 15th to the front in less than 2 laps. So he made his way, and he deserved that win 100%.
Well, I mean, going back to that, you kind of did the same thing, and you had one of those oh boy moments in front of you where you reacted down to the apron. So you pit there, you go back deep in the field, and there's a wreck right in front of you. What's going through your head exactly at that moment? We were on board, by the way.
Yeah. Don't think I say an expletive on here, but oh, you know what?
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of drivers thinking the same thing I was. I just tried to drop it to the bottom and make sure I was clear behind me, and just looked in my mirror real quick and just drop down, because it's all you can do. And thankfully, wrecks can go a million different ways. So I was able to make it through it, and it was definitely the scary moment of the race for me. That was the I had my heart pumping, adrenaline rushing pretty quickly. So
Yeah, not being used to running and you didn't have any kind of traffic most of the day. You get deep in the field, and then that car, you didn't even see it, shoots across your windshield, and you just dive bomb. Cat-like reflexes tonight for Christopher Hodges, but you bring it back up on the podium. You get third place. Congratulations, Christopher. Do you have anyone that you'd like to shout out?
oh, certainly. First off, well, my parents, definitely big supporters of mine. They work hard to give me the opportunities to do this. So um, I'd also like to thank Mama T. She's the reason I'm even here right now in the Vrx World Cup series. And thank you for all the sponsors and everybody that are supplying the prizes and sponsoring the league. And yeah, like I said, Mama T, thank you so much because I would not be in any, I wouldn't have found this community if it wasn't for her. So, and thank you guys for putting on a great broadcast.
We appreciate your time, Christopher, and the kind words, and we will see you next week when we take it to Talladega, VRX race number 2. Thank you. So
Thank you.
there's your third place finisher tonight. Christopher Hodges in the number 34. And now we have Justin Prince catching up with your second place driver, and that's James Wagoner in the number 30.
Hey,
Yes, indeed. Hey, indeed. James Wagoner, you went from 15th to 2nd to be able to get here, first of all. But talk us through those late stages, because you're amongst those on some of the freshest tires. In fact, the freshest cycle in the field. Talk about the charge you had to make to get in this position to be in the top 3.
yeah, I was just trying to save a set of tires for the end. I mean, I didn't think the time was going to end up running out like it did, but I was wanting to save a set, and I'm glad I did. But I was just being patient, trying to save all night, and just had to make my run.
In turn here tonight, how was the race in terms of the feel of the car in of itself, especially in the midst of traffic, because a lot of cars seem to be a lot of bouncing off each other?
Yeah, well, my car felt pretty good. I mean, it was a net code, got turned a couple times, but because of net code. But other than that, I felt pretty good in my car. I felt like I can put it anywhere I wanted it.
Well, with that being said here tonight, in turn, a good night it seemed for your organization, especially the burnout celebration. But what are some of the key takeaways you're already thinking about, knowing you get a good points haul already in the first round, done and dusted?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to take this momentum into the next race, I guess.
And what are those mental notes going to say?
I'm not sure yet. I'm just a little speechless right now.
Anybody want to thank before we let you go then?
Yeah, I'd like to thank VRX. I'd like to thank y'all guys, American Sheepdog, James Wagner's Weldon, all my Roughneck teammates. I'd like to congratulate Richard for the win. I'll also like to, I was sort of dedicating this race to Jeff Scott. His brother passed away, I think it was Wednesday, so this race goes out to him. Tom Scott was his name, so that's about it.
Thank you very much for the time, James.
Yep, appreciate it.
James Wagoner coming away second, and that does touch upon something I did notice on the banners, was trying to sort out the exact backstory. Unfortunately, that's the answer, Bradley.
Yeah, and we'll get a good shot here. The guy that had a tough break, he already had enough things going on, and Jeff Scott, prayers be with you. I know that we've kind of glossed over that, not knowing, not aware, so we apologize for that portion of it. But condolences to your family, and it takes a lot of wit and discipline to just come out here and race and try to get your mind off of things. And we know that the race didn't go your way here tonight, Jeff, but our thoughts and prayers here from V-Speed are with you, and we thank James Wagoner for bringing that to our attention as well. Yeah, it's never easy, life in general, right? But it's particularly hard in these moments. So we'll talk about that and think more about that next week and see if we can do something else. But again, a little off track here, and the race ultimately ending a little early here tonight, Justin, but we have your victor. He has, in my opinion, the coolest name on the track as well, Richard Hurst. It just sounds like a race car driver name, getting the victory here tonight. Man, what a struggle you had being in the tracks of that 34 car, but you did what you had to do, knowing that the time was expiring, knowing that those tires were going to be better, and you went from mid-pack to the top 3 in 2 laps.
Man, what an amazing ride. And, I got to give it to the 34. 34 had a very fast car. And if it came down to it, if we were able to finish under green, I would have pushed them straight to the win, if it hadn't have finished the way it did. But he put on a really great race, controlled both lines, pin perfect. Couldn't ask the, race with better guys out there on the track. A couple cautions that, didn't like to see, it end under caution. I would have loved to have seen it, go green. But man, what a drive! The Noma TV 21. I got to give it to Ricky Evans. He definitely made that car look good out there on stream.
Well, speaking on stream, Noma TV on the hood. I know that you've got a good background there in the broadcasting realm and what you do. But how is it different to be out there on the racetrack and competing with these guys that you're most of the time saying their name?
It is definitely different to be out there racing with them. But, I have learned so much from a lot of these guys. Brian Hennings, watching him on and off the, on the track, you can learn so much about being in the booth, learning the fast lines of the tracks, just by watching these races and calling them. But I'm glad, I'm here with a bunch of people that I know, they know me, and, so I got one big family here, to race with.
Well, with lack of a better term, you beat that family here tonight. You put it up front. You win the first race in VRX 2024 World Cup, and the momentum that this probably builds going into Talladega. How does it feel to be the first winner this year in this season?
I got the monkey off my back. But I definitely have a couple of allies out there. Got Roughneck Racing, James Wagner. I gave him a little bit of draft, and I was trying to help Chris Hodges, and trying to help them, try to get them to battling, and that way I can actually grab the win. I think the caution right there at the end was just the lifesaver to bring home that win, because I think if they would have got to me, it would have been different outcomes.
Well, we'll never know. They don't ask you how, they ask you how many, Richard. And tonight you have one up on the rest of this field. Congratulations on the victory. Do you have anybody in mind that you'd like to shout out while we got you up here?
Absolutely. I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Chris Hodges. He put on a good race. James Wagner over there at Roughneck Racing definitely put on a good race. Good to see him up in the top 3. And Mr. Ricky Evans over there at ASDR. If it weren't for him, I probably would not have made it here tonight. So a big shout out to them, Noma TV, Thrustmaster, Butt Kicker, you for putting on a good broadcast. I listened to it as I was racing. Probably not the best thing to do, but I was still doing it. And you got to give a shout out to my buddy Randy Williams over at Crepe Dean Creations. He's bringing a little bit, trying to bring in new company, new things to the iRacing world. So go check him out on Facebook. That's Crepe Dean Creations, and see what he can make for y'all today.
Appreciate that, Richard. And next time we'll try to have a spotter up here in the booth for you and try to get that third guy in your ears so we can see what you really got. How distracting can we be for the 21? Got to make it interesting, right?
Absolutely. Let's do it. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you for your time, Richard, and congrats on the win. First time this season, the Vrx World Cup has a victor, and it comes to Richard Hurst.
So in turn, an exciting finish to this one in terms of the battle for the win, I should say. But in turn, we head towards next week, because in about a week's time, you talked about it a little bit with our previous drivers, it's Dega, it's Talladega, and it's 80 laps on February the 9th. That is going to be a wild one, to say the very least, for a second race.
Yeah, we saw how crazy these guys got at Auto Club. Now let's go to a place where you don't have to lift off the throttle when you're forward wide. The wide, steep banks of over 33 degrees, the hot asphalt. It's going to be a good one. I hope you guys can see it. 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday for week number 2 at Vrx Simulators World Cup. We hope you guys can catch it. So that just about wraps it up for us here tonight on V-Speed. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a single race as we bring you flag-to-flag coverage all season long for the Vrx World Cup. And for everybody here that made this possible, Vrx, Butt Kicker, Thrustmaster, and Carpe Diem Creations. This is Bradley Cooper thanking Adam Baker, my co-commentator tonight, Justin Prince, and our 2 producers, Eddie Smith and Morgan Cook, telling you to have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. There isn't a one-size-fits-all for almost anything in life, so don't settle for a one-size-fits-all setup. Eliminate the frustration in building with an AI-powered personalized toolkit to boost you forward to victory. Optimize your setup and improve your performance over those cookie-cutter builds used by the rest of the pack. Vantage is iRacing.com's first AI setup builder. Save your time and give back to your personal life. Vantage takes any setup for any track and adjusts it specifically to your needs. Choose from over 100 cars for any paved circuit. A custom-tailored experience that's easy to understand and tested to fit any driver style. Subscriptions as low as $8.50 per month. And for a limited time, new members get a 7-day free trial with unlimited access to all Vantage has to offer. Let Orange Speed Vantage free you of the endless loop of testing and get you back on track to victory lane. Visit orangespeedvantage.ai to get started.
And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count up to 37.
Oh!
No, gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from?
Here
Here comes Zwack.
A push from the 33.
It's a drag